One of the things they were ordered to do was to head out into the county, away from the river and downriver to scout to see if they could find any soldiers and also to look for supplies. Who here has got any farmers in their family background? Okay, basically what they meant was go find the farmers that haven't harvested yet and steal their food to feed our soldiers. Well, they sent down two groups towards River Canard, about 12 or 13 miles south of here. There was a detachment of the 1st Infantry Regiment, about 200 men, and there was a combined force of about 150 militia under Colonel Cass. If you've ever heard of the Cass Corridor across the river, that's where it comes from. Sorry for slipping on a time frame there for a minute. Well, anyway, morning of July 16th, 1812, it's just before dawn. The sentries are on the bridge. Two privates named Hancock and Dean. Hancock had recently been a sergeant, done something a little naughty and committed the cardinal sin of getting caught, and now he was busted down to a private. And everybody knew him because he had a long red braid down the back of his neck. And Dean was one of his best friends. Well, that morning, during the night, the reinforcing company had come out from Fort Amherstburg. About 45 regular soldiers of the 41st Regiment of Foot. Their job was to get to the bridge before dawn, just in case the Americans were trying something sneaky, they could bring a report back to the fort. Well, sure enough, just as the false dawn came on, the light was starting to come up. They see this smudge up on the northern horizon. Now, they don't know if it's smoke from Sandwich Town, if it's fog coming off the river, they have no idea, but they keep watching. And within a few minutes, it's pretty obvious that it's a body of troops, a large body of troops moving south from Sandwich Town. Well, as the morning progresses, they're keeping a watch to the north. They can see the distinctive blue uniforms of the American regulars. They can see the black frock coats of the Kentucky militia and some of the other state militias that have come up from the American South. And now they're marching south along the Detroit River, intending on what they're doing a reconnaissance of the River Canard. Canard had the only bridge, the only place they could cross the River Canard, and they had to get across Canard to attack Fort Amherstburg. So they were doing a reconnaissance in strength. What that means is we'll take a couple hundred soldiers, we'll throw them at the problem and see if we can fix it. So the morning of the 16th, we're watching as the Americans get closer and closer to the bridge. Now, at the bridge, we've got that half company from the fort, about 40 or so British regulars. We've got a small native party, a group of our native allies, under a fellow named Menpak. Now, if any of you are French, you understand man is hand. His name is Menpak. His left hand is all clubbed up from when he was a child. But he was so big and strong, he would actually fire his musket with one hand, which was virtually impossible. In addition to that, you've got these two sentries, Hancock and Dean. Let me finish up and then we'll come back with questions, okay? Pardon me? Okay, we'll tell you in a minute. Well, Hancock and Dean are the two sentries, and help me, let me understand something with you. The sentries took their jobs very seriously. As far as they were concerned, when they were on assignment, whatever they were guarding was theirs. If the general said, guard my house, it was their house. Guard my food, it was their food. They wouldn't eat it. Guard my bridge, it's their bridge. Duke of Wellington, commanding our British forces in France at the time, said the British Redcoats were the scum of the earth, but they were the best infantry in the world. And that day, there's Hancock and Dean on the bridge. Well, as the morning progresses, the Americans get close enough that now the muskets are starting to fire. We're trying to drain our small field piece onto the American position, but we can't fire it from our side of the river because the bridge is in the way. Well, Hancock and Dean are on the north side of the bridge. This side, right up where the Americans are coming. The reinforcing company pulls back to the far side of the bridge. They're along an abattis, basically a split rail fence, and they're firing the muskets over the river, taking shots at the American troops trying to hold them back. Hancock and Dean are still on the north side of the bridge, and they're firing at the Americans. Well, when we get to the idea that we can understand how many Americans there are, we realize we've got maybe 45 troops, about 25 native allies. There's somewhere around 350 American troops altogether, vastly outnumbered, 8-1. And the commander, the young officer of the reinforcing company, it's not his job to engage in a major battle and get killed. It's his job to bring a report. So after about 20 minutes of intermittent fire, he goes to Hancock and Dean and tells them, we're withdrawing from the bridge, we're heading back to Amherstburg. And they refuse to fall in. They're not leaving. It's their bridge, and they're staying to guard the bridge. The British regulars pull back towards Amherstburg. It's about 3 miles away. Menpak and his native allies fade off into the tree line. They're giving watch over the Americans. Now, as this is going on, Hancock and Dean are still shooting. Hancock's been hit at least once, a grazing shot to the left side of his chest. He's bleeding, but you can't see it with his red coat jacket, and he's still shooting. Now they're getting close enough that they're really posing a threat, but they realize that they really want to hit us from the far side, and they can't because there's a river in the way. Colonel Cass takes his militia.